G'day everyone, Carlos here. Welcome to my weekly What's Up in Archaeology channel. Not channel, come on. I haven't drank enough yet. Welcome to my weekly What's Up in Archaeology live stream. Before I get started in the articles I have two. I think they're quite interesting. I want to sort of go off on a little bit of a tangent because today, 25th of April, is significant for me in two aspects. I'll tell you about them, right? I grew up in Australia. You can tell by my South African accent, right? And every 25th of April, we commemorated the battle of the going ashore of that commenced the Battle of Gallipoli by the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. I won't go into the nitty-gritty of the battle itself. It was a defeat. Spoiler alert. By the British Empire, Australia, New Zealand, and the British generals that commanded the battle. Because the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps were under the command of the British Army, British Corps. So it was it was a massacre because it still is the greatest loss by a one-day loss in terms of death, not in cricket or other sports, of Australian soldiers up in any war. More than 8,000 young men, mostly aged between 18, some as young as 16, and 25-ish. It was bad. It lasted, I think, at least 8 or 9 months. So it was an extended battle. Gallipoli it was strategic, but there was just terrible, the carnage. So that is one of the reasons I'm celebrating Anzac Day. I always celebrate Anzac Day as I celebrate Armistice Day. And because, again, both reasons. From Portugal's aspect, point of view, because Portugal sent an expeditionary force, and also the Australian Anzacs that were fighting in Europe and elsewhere. The other reason, 25th of April 1974, marked the this is the 43rd anniversary of the ending of our dictatorship in Portugal from 1926 to 1926-28 to 1974. Portugal lived under a brutal dictatorship which it wasn't actually totally fascist, but it was so fucking close. The only aspect that didn't follow the fascist ideology was of basically counter-revolution. It was brutal for the people that lived under a dictatorship. It was bureaucratic. It was we had our own Devil's Island in the island of Cape Verde, prison that was sent there. Political prisoners were sent there. They never returned. Many people common people, for just sharing their discontent, ended up in prison. It was brutal. Many people had to leave Portugal. My grandfather and my father were one of them. I was born in basically the final years of that brutal dictatorship. But I still felt some of the the feelings that not the feelings. I was 7 years old when I came here with my mum to visit my grandparents from Australia in 1974. 3 months after the actual revolution, the Carnation Revolution, because it was a bloodless coup. The only person that died was from an accident, car accident. The soldiers, the people placed carnations in the soldiers, the liberating soldiers, the revolutionaries, in the gun barrels, so that became known as the Carnation War, Carnation Revolution. We celebrated here mostly from the center left. There's a party that was a direct descendant of Salazar. He was their dictator, and Caetano was his successor, who only lasted 6 years, basically, because Salazar died in 1968 from a brain hemorrhage. So he fell over and knocked his head, and he had a brain hemorrhage. He lasted 2 years, 66 to 68. Then he died, and Marcelo Caetano took over the dictatorship as his successor. And in 1974, April 1974, 25th of April 1974, in fact, today, it was overthrown by a group of captains from a regiment from a city called Santarém. Salgueiro Maia, he is my hero because he was the leader of a battalion that went into Lisbon and captured the Republican National Guard headquarters and the Parliament headquarters. So people when I hear people, I was just reading the comment from Cat Power, exactly, 1974, the Antifa did not attack garbage containers, and they were not pussies, absolutely. But it wasn't Antifa then, it was just center-left heroes. They were fed up of the bloodshed in our longer than the United States. We fought a guerrilla warfare in Africa longer than the United States fought in Vietnam, and ultimately we gave up the colonies. We should have done that decades ago, and sort of form a commonwealth like the United Kingdom did. But our fucking moron of a dictatorship cunt who had Portuguese economy absolutely thriving, squandered all the richness away by spending it all in a fucking fruitless war in Africa. Now, because some of the colonies, principally Angola, has a hell of a lot of petrol, they are now, I think they are basically buying up shit here in Portugal. I don't give a shit. I don't care about that. That can do that. It's called capitalism, so it's fine. I'm absolutely okay with that. And the European Union is fucking us over because we can't generate enough wealth in our country because of all the regulations and that shit. So anyway, now that's why I commemorate today in two distinct aspects of today. It's significant for me in these two ways that I just mentioned. So let's get on with our stream as usual. Hope I haven't bored you with a little bit of stuff. Just to finish off, because of our fear of dictatorships, none of our political parties they're all basically centrists. I mean, honestly, they are centrist. Our most extreme left and extreme right would be center in any other place in the United States, in the UK, in Germany, in Australia. We don't want to return to to being ruled over that way. It's a bit of anathema because the European Union wants to do that to us, but we are such fucking cunts. They will fucking expel us because we fucking complain like shit. So that's a good thing about that. Anyway, let's get on with our what's important. Archaeology. I love archaeology. I have 2 articles today. Well, I have more than 2 articles, but I'm just going to read 2. The other articles and as much of information sources as I could, independent sources, are in the description. I say have a look at them. They are interesting. I've chosen one from the blog Nutcracker Man. It summarizes one of the hominin that was found not long ago. He's a new Homo species. His name is Homo Naledi, and I'm going to share the screen so we can start our show. Here we go. Homo Naledi. It was a major announcement that happened in September the 10th, 2015. That's how recent it was, only 2 years ago. Of a totally new species of the genus Homo found in the Naledi chamber of the Rising Star Cave in South Africa. Now, Naledi is the African name that originates from the Sesotho tribe in South Africa, which means star, because of the Rising Star Cave. What we know about Homo Naledi. Here is a picture of what he looks like. This has been reconstructed from the fossil skulls that was found in that cave. I've talked about how paleo artists reconstruct skulls and so on, how they can reconstruct the facial features and that. So the hair, the eye colors, etc., are obviously artistic impressions in artistic licenses, but the features of the face are exactly how it is. Now, what do we know about the hominin? This is wrong. Well, this is semi-wrong. They found 1,550 fossils of at least 15 individuals, ranging from birth to old age. This is significant. I'll come back to that in a bit later. They are the most complete assemblage of fossils from a candidate of a human ancestor. All parts of the body are represented in the assemblage. The comprehensive samples of Homo Naledi bones are richer than any other human species, such as Homo rudolfensis, Homo habilis, and Homo erectus. I've talked about Homo rudolfensis. He possibly is the ancestor of Homo heidelbergensis, which is our most likely candidate for the Homo sapiens sapiens ancestor. So, and Homo erectus is probably. I've talked about that Homo habilis. There's a debate going on if we should strip him of the Homo designation. It means human, by the way, hominin, and put him into the Australopithecines. But Homo erectus, if that happens, Homo erectus will become the first of the Homo lineage, us, our most direct ancestor. So his average height, that's Homo Naledi, was about 1.5 meters. He weighed 45 kilograms, more or less, his average thing. And how big would he be? 1.5 meters. It's not that tall. He was bipedal, that we should know. And he walked upright. He probably could run as well, mostly with a gait similar to us. The skulls were primitive, similar to Homo habilis, between about a half a liter of brain. The volume of the brain would have been between 466 to 560 cc's, comparing to Homo habilis 510 to 700 cc's. Homo erectus between 550 for the earliest ones to 1100 cc's for the later ones. And Homo floresiensis, you know, the hobbits, the little ones that they found in the Indonesian island of Flores. He had 426 cc's. So he were the Homo Naledi was not that tall. The dentation, many of the teeth representing many ages from young to old individuals. They look primitive in the increase. They look primitive in the increased size towards the back of the front row, but look modern in the small size, and they are simplified, set in a lightly built jaw bones. This is significant as well. You see, the jawbone and the muscles around the jawbone can indicate a lot about the diet that they practiced. We have from this period and the contemporary with Australopithecus afarensis africanus, Homo habilis, we have Paranthropus bosei, which interestingly enough, this block comes Nutcracker Man. He had a big jaw, and they basically ate vegetable exclusively. They were exclusively vegetarians. So in order to grind the vegetable matter, you need stronger jaws and more powerful facial muscles that attach to the jaw to chew the vegetable matter, like you can see from from modern equivalency, the gorillas compared to the chimpanzees, which also eat, of course, have a vegetarian diet principally, but they also eat meat. The postcranial means anything from the neck down. The wrists, hands, legs, and feet are similar to those of Neanderthals and modern humans. The hands had curved finger bones, suggesting that they climb in behavior. So you can imagine our skeletons shrunk a bit smaller, but with curved hands, fingertips, so they could climb easier to trees. Because mostly to escape predators. They were prey. They most likely were scavengers. If they ate any meat, they scavenged meat. As Australopithecus afarensis, Lucy, Homo habilis as well, and early Homo erectus. The legs were made for long distance walking. The feet reflect effective walking. The body was similarities to the Dimnices Homo erectus, which were the earliest ones, about 1.800,000 million, 100,000 years ago. I've talked about the Manises Homo erectus. Right. What is different about these hominins? So far, we've only found these hominins in the Naledi chamber. The quality of the fossil preservation is extraordinary, obviously. No cut marks, no breakage, no animal broke the bones. There is no archaeological evidence showing that the hominins lived in the chamber. There is no sign of habitation. The chamber was never opened to the outside world. The route to the chamber was never any easy. Not other animals could have reached it. No other animals could have reached it, or other animals could not reach it. The fossils were not moved by water. There was no signs of catastrophe or scavengers. So this tells us a lot. The place where these hominins were placed. I'll go on to another in a sec to just this is a summary. On to another article. This was purposeful. This was burial. This species from the behavior that's shown by these fossils were found, we can conclude that this was a direct a purpose, was a burial. I need a drink. A deliberate act of burying their dead. See what beer does not. Beer does wonders to loosen the tongue. The species could have some capacity to do some kind of burials or rituals. Until further evidence, I'll accept this statement. I'm not as much of an expert as the people who are studying the Homo Naledi are. I know what a ritual burial looks like from other sites, like it says here, the Cima de los Huesos in Atapuerca in Spain, about 500,000 years ago, with Homo erectus, and Homo erectus, Homo heidelbergensis, and Homo neanderthalensis, and even Homo sapiens sapiens, Homo sapien neanderthalensis. I'm shortening it up, so there's no so it's not Homo neanderthalensis, it's Homo sapiens neanderthalensis. I just shortened it out just so to distinguish. But as it says here, the Cima hominins had a brain capacity of a liter. They were big. Homo Naledi has half the size. But I have an article in the description where they took an interior cast. I'll put it up. Get out of here. So there we go. Where is it? Should have put it up, but I'm a bit lazy. Let's see, which one is it? Nope. There you go. Found it. From the New Scientist magazine. This is a skull replica with Lee Berger as an archaeologist, and they found that, where is it? Here we go. If you look at the Nelly cast, you think, holy crap, this is just a tiny human. Do you know why? Because what the team most in the region of Homo Naledi's frontal lobe called the ball. This is the part that, what excite, oh shit. Oh, damn. Let me go back. Oh, this shit happens. About that, people. There. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Too fast, too far. Here we go. What excites the... Back up we go. Everyone can see. What excites the team most is the region on the side of Homo Naledi's frontal lobe called the Broadman Area 45, part of the Broca's area, which in modern humans has linked to speech production. In this part of the brain, our patterns of Jiri and Sulci is very different from that seen in chimpanzees. Homo Naledi seems to have our pattern, even though as an adult its BA45, that's Broadman's area 45, was not much larger than that of the chimpanzee. You look at the Naledi cast and you think, holy crap, this is just a tiny human. The team member Sean Hurst of Indiana University in Bloomington discussed the findings in the meeting of American Association of Physical Anthropologists in New Orleans last week. That was, when was this from? 24th of April, just last week, literally last week. And I would think the implication is that Homo Naledi was moving strongly towards enhanced communications. We see here one of the most direct links to our more complex brain, except in half the size. So it's incredible, and this is an archaeological discovery of the likes of finding Tutankhamun's tomb, but in anthropology, archaeology, anthropology. Hurst adds that there is no evidence of general expansion of the bottom surface of the frontal lobes, a region associated with higher emotions like empathy. Together, these observations might help to explain why groups of the small brain hominins could have become interested in careful disposal of the dead. There is also evidence, So that's why when we come back to here, they possibly buried their dead. They had the complex brain enough to possibly communicate complex and abstract ideas, which is a trait of us, of our species. And they had also the same capacity to bury their dead, to dispose of their dead in a, like the article said, in a dignified manner. Now, the doubts of Homo Naledi, of Nutcracker, today, the first dating. This is new. This is absolutely new. In the description, I've put in an article that was published today that dated Naledi between 300,000 200,000 years ago. Hence, much more recent than the first estimations made by the discovery about 2 million years in the roots of our Homo genus. Now, the location for the moment Homo naledi is currently only known. See, for now, we only know that Homo naledi lived in this small area, southern Africa, and basically the Naledi chamber. Now, how did the hominins get to the chamber? Did the cave have another entrance in the past? Could they use fire? We don't know. I'll put in this slideshow from Roberto Sainz. He's that's the assemblage of more than one individual. That's many individuals here. The 15 individuals that they found. They reconstructed one. Here's a cast of the skull. See, the teeth, the front teeth are small, and they get progressively, like I said, primitive to the back. That's the size of that's how big it is compared to the human that's holding it in his hand. This is an average human hand. Here's a comparison between Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo floresiensis, and Homo naledi. Basically the face, the anatomical differences. You guys explore this article; it's quite good. Some more. That's how it would be compared to the Homo sapiens sapiens, us. Again, reconstruction of the skull. That's the teeth, the molars, premolars, incisors, canines, etc. Another part is another view. And the hands, you can see the hands, quite modern looking. The feet as well. They have the big toe for walking long distances instead of the prehensile toe of the chimpanzees and gorillas and all the other apes that still live, but and you can see some of the features. Australopithecines and Homo features, comparing the two. So you can see at the moment he has features that make him Homo, but Homo habilis, which is another just going on, has features which are more Australopithecine. So who knows? We'll see. Stay tuned. This is news happening as it's occurring. And another example of another hominin. These are all hominin 3. These are all different individuals that they are showing. UW 101, 139 femur, foot 1. These are all from the same individual, etc. Designation. That's how we looked. Lucy was about like that. Tucana boy. This is Homo erectus from Lake Tucana. I've talked about him. He was young, about an adolescent Homo erectus, and he was over 1.6 meters tall at 12, 11, 12, 13 years of age. And compared to an adult Homo Naledi, this is the comparative anatomical height that they had. And this is the cave, the Rising Star Cave. You can see where they found the chamber and how they got there. It's there's this narrow bit that the fossils are. So this brings us to the conclusion that it was deliberate, because taking it into here, if it wasn't, first of all, if it was the animals that were taking the bone here, they would have not passed the first chamber, and there would have been, like I said, cut marks, crunch marks, etc. This was quite a hard way to get to the end of the cave. Like I said, maybe there's different entrance that's been lost through time, because 400,000 years is a hell of a long time, 300,000. And that's what it looks like in where the bones have been found, etc. So that's Homo Naledi. I suggest, if you guys want to read up on more, there is I've put links to other sources, including an actual, I think, or at least the preamble of the actual study paper that was published. So yeah, and that concludes Homo Naledi, an really exciting discovery of a hominin, much like the Denisovians, which I always love talking about those guys. Yes, Wolf, there are a lot of Homo in archaeology. Not that there's not anything wrong with it, but it's not those type of Homo. Okay, let's go on to our before that, we're going to talk about another awesome source. This is a bit older. This is in my opinion, one of the most significant archaeological sites for many reasons. I'll just share this. But before that, I want to interact with the crowd with the chat. How are you guys? Let's see. How are you? Hail, Gaius, Malachite, Warped. I love having you here. Maleficus and Scotch McGuinness. How are you guys? I hope I didn't bore you too much about this exciting discovery. I think it's exciting. Archaeology is boring. Yes, I know. I'm just a. Oh, you're just a boring off. Not me. It can be boring, archaeology, but I probably even make it worse because I'm fucking not. I don't have. And oh, hi Carlos David, my friend. I don't have a communications degree to actually communicate as other people can do, but I try my best. And it's not gay as fuck. Yeah, we talk a lot about homo, yes, but it's not homo. Oh, how are you, Gunny? Let me just open my just about to finish this beer. I'm gonna open another one before it gets cold. It's a Guinness export special. Fucking love this shit. It'll loosen my tongue for the next article I have. If you guys have seen, looked into the, oh, Ian, my friend, how are you? Oh God, no, editing config files. No. I tried that once. No, thank you. Anyway, let's start. I said this was one of the most significant archaeological sites ever found, especially in Europe. It has a lot of significance for a lot of things. Firstly, where it's located. Secondly, what they found there. And thirdly, of a single burial that they found. Quite significant. Now, everyone knows that in we're talking about this period is at the height of the last glacial maximum. It's been between 30,000 and 20,000 years ago, before present. So what these people that from this site, Dolni Vestonice, it's located in the Czech Republic. I'll show you where it is. I have a map here. Here we go. This is what Europe was. You can see more or less at this period, between 45,000 and 25,000 ago. The white is where the ice caps were. They by about 30,000 years ago, they would have come further south. You can see the UK was joined to France, Holland, etc. Ireland was bigger. This shows other stuff. Our human, us, Homo sapiens, moving into these areas and the possible areas which they came. So, Dolni Vestonice is here. And why isn't it sharing? There we go. Dolni Vestonice is in this where these red circles are. It's in the Czech Republic now. Yeah, that's it. Coming back to the article. Why does it show that? Yeah. Dolni Vestonice is significant for many. What the fuck's happening? God, I hate sometimes these sites. There we go. Was once a this is from the Australian Museum in Canberra. It's a good source of information. It summarizes most of the things. If you guys type in Dolni Vestonice in the Google, apart from taking you to travel agents and shit, and it also has a lot of articles, some of them written in Czech, which I don't understand, so I try to pick the best ones, but most of them are books. This is one of the most studied archaeological sites around, and basically the excavations began. I'm not going to read from here. I have a sort of a small thingy, so I'll just the excavation of the site began in 1925, and right from the start it became apparent the significance of the site. They found something that is quite normally would be out of place. They found thousands of ceramic artifacts. I'm going to talk about the future. It's sort of out of my field, but I think I can talk about it easily. I've studied it enough. I've always said, especially in a hangout that I had or some, that pottery is a hallmark of farming. And we even have two time periods of the Neolithic, which is the New Stone Age, which was actual farming, which are called pre-pottery Neolithic A and pre-pottery Neolithic B. I've talked about that Gebrekli Tepe, that 12,000, 10,000-year-old temple in Turkey that is located in pre-pottery Neolithic A period, about 11,000 from the present, from us now. That's take away 2,000 years for BC and shit. So it would be about 9,000 years BC. But here we have pottery 30,000 years ago. And it's located near the city of Brno in the Czech Republic. And what they found there, that the animals, many of them, these ceramic artifacts depict animals. They were found associated with the site. The animals molded in the clay include lions, rhinoceros, and mammoths, but they have also found 2 human figurines, or close to them. This would be have used. You can see them here. You can see this is a bear in the why isn't it sharing? What the hell? Should be sharing. What is this? What is it? It should be sharing. Oh God, I apologize, people. I hope you can see it now. I'm sorry. It's Russian hackers. Yes, exactly. Or aliens. Thank you, Ghanaian Scott. You can see it now. These are some of the figurines that they found. In the center, you have this bear figurine. It's his number. And on the right here, we have the Venus of Dolni Vestonice. That's how you pronounce it, I think. I'm probably massacring it because see what happens. Here we go. This is the cast. It's located in the Australian Museum. The statue of the Venus doll. No, wasn't it appearing? It was excavated in 1924, and it's been dated between 29,000 and 25,000 years before the present. Oh shit! Oh, God damn it! My net is slow. I apologise. I do live in a bumfuck nowhere, Portugal. Just so here we go. That's how it looks in. This is real life size. If you click on the link that I gave you of the National Australian Museum, you will see the life size. That's how it looks like. This is a ceramic object. It's not carved. This is called the Black Venus. And it was found alongside charred mammoth bones, because these people that lived in Dolni Vestonice were mammoth hunters. I'll describe the site. It's on close to the river, on a relatively flat plain. There's no caves, so they didn't. This is sort of the exception to being called the cave people. They didn't live in caves. This was actually an open air site. There's no pictures here, but I'll describe it. It's better to describe it because you can get your imagination working. Now, the site is, as I said, near a river, close to the river, on a plain. There's an embankment. There was an embankment where they found the lean-to, where most of the pottery were. There was possibly type of a small tent type structure around it. Who knows? That possibly the kiln. Here, you can read it here. The site includes several huts, one of which remains one of the earliest kilns ever discovered. The kiln used in baking clay objects. It is remarkable for the time, exactly because it's fucking 30,000 years old. It wasn't for another 15,000 years that people in faraway Japan, not just Japan, but also in the Fertile Crescent, started making clay pots and ceramic containers, etc. The kilns at Dolni Vestonice, I'm reading from the article here, had glowing coals that were covered in the dome of the earth. The floor of the hut of the kiln was covered with hundreds of ceramic figurines and its fragments, depicting humans and numerous animals. They were the first examples of ceramic artifacts ever found and were dated between 28,000 and 34,000 years ago. The Venus of the Black Venus was about 11 centimeters high, and it depicts a voluptuous nude female figure. It was thought to be the symbol of fertility, possibly an idol or goddess. Well, not goddess, but an idol for sure. And also, yes, fertility symbol, because a woman who is having a baby is fertile. Depicts also the spring. They would have sort of anthropomorphized what they saw in the hunted, when they hunted the animals in spring getting pregnant, etc., etc. So it's one of the first famous Venus type figurines. They gave him this stupid name, Venus. I don't like that, the name Venus. I prefer the female, an idol, a female idol. It's don't put I don't know, weird names for it. They also found another one which another small figurine of a woman's face that's been that had a distorted face, a disfigured woman. Yeah, get back to the reading. If I don't read, I'll get a bit lost. Sorry about that, guys. Now, the organisation of the actual encampment was an open-air site located near a stream. Its people hunted mammoths and other herd animals. The saving of the mammoths and other bones that could be used to construct a fence-like boundaries separating the living space from the distant inside and outside. The perimeter was easily distinguished. They used, because there were no trees in this area that they lived, because it was close to, it was just Arctic tundra. So no trees. They would have had to use the mammoth bones as a building material, mammoth and other bones of other animals, etc., for the building material, and the furs to cover the tents, the occupational quarters, etc. They also found in that site what it was called the wolf bone, which is an artifact that was discovered in 1937, or dated to about 30,000 years ago, and had 55 marks on that that artifact. They call it the tally stick. It had a head of an ivory figurine that was close. It was found close to the Venus, carved Venus, which is another one, which is the one with a deformed face. They've also found a carved figure of in that side of a young man, so not just females, and also an elder. There were the most important thing. I'll see if I can find the actual article that is more pressing, because let's see, where is it? I found that burial, triple burial. This is how it was. The individuals of this in Dolni, the triple burial of Dolni, which reveals 3 skeletons, including individual DV15, whose sex has long been debated due to the pathological condition. If they were male, they think they were male. In the past decades, ancient DNA research has found that the insights in our research were traditionally approached were limited. Now, the determination of the sex of the human remains is often challenged by physical anthropologists when dealing with incomplete juvenile and pathological specimens. Molecular approaches along sexing and other based of sex-specific markers, or by calculating the ratios of DNA derived from different chromosomes. Here, the team of archaeologists propose a novel approach that relies on the ratio of X chromosomes derived shotgun sequencing data for autosomal coverage, thus the establishing a probability of XX and XY karyotypes. Basically, this just a bloody long-winded word that's saying that they don't know if they were three males, what sex they were. And you can see that the hands of one, let's see if I can augment the magnification. See the hands? It's putting on the pelvis of this one. Did you guys realize that there's been some and social bullshit studies that this was the original threesome? A male, female, and a male. This, etc. Well, it's just totally bullshit. Of course, because we haven't really established the sex. Because there was one of them that was the differences between the male or female. It could have been until they get actual DNA confirmation, which they've been trying to do. This was what, last year? Well, this one says they were all male, so it's established. So why did they bury him that way, and why his hands like that? We don't know. We don't know. But it's interesting. They found also textile impressions in the site. Because it was close to a river or a small creek, there would have been a mud. Maybe the earth is muddy, and if they drop any form of a textile, probably cover it up. The textile will rot away, but the impression of that textile will remain, especially in conjunction with any burials like this one. So they've also found, according to the find, weavers of the Upper Paleolithic were manufacturing of a variety of cordage types, plated basketry, sophisticated twine, and plain woolen cloth. The artifacts in prints in clay and burned remnants of cloth. Because if you burn organic material, it becomes preserved for a hell of a long time, and you can then use to date it. Let's see. There was a burial of a 40-year-old woman with very elaborate settings, including possibly artifacts, which were found near the woman, had a profound impact on the interpretation of social hierarchy of the people of the site. A woman, a 41-year-old woman, she would have been obviously middle-aged. They found a lot of some artifacts with her, so that would mean that she was held in high regard. The social structure of that time would have been tribal. The leader, male or female, doesn't matter. The leader usually was someone who could lead the group, better organizational skills. Didn't have to be a man, could be a woman as well. Then it's not always the hunter, the best hunter, etc., the best toolmaker. It's the person who could organize and get a good cohesion of the group that they lived in. Shows that they had an increased lifespan. She was covered in red ochre, which was ceremonially buried, and it had also a mammoth scapula and a fox scapula were indicative of a high status. They found that the inhabitants of this area that lived about that time had a mitochondrial haplogroup U, and one inhabitant had a haplogroup U8, which is weird. So yeah, this one, Dolni Vestonice, is significant because, I'll reiterate, because it was the first site to have the oldest ceramics in the world. The triple burial, which had for long remained a mystery of what the sexes were, and has now been established. So with the three males, there was a contention that maybe they were female as well. The elder female leader was indicating the social structure. And we would only see, like the article said, we would only see pottery for another 15,000 years. And it's exciting to know. So, ending on a low note, because God damn it, I've just dropped off. If you want to read more, it's in the. I have in the description. I have all the links to the articles which I mentioned. So have a good. If you want to have a read about them, and I think I'll end it here before I babble on. And till next week, I'll try and find something in exciting or not. I ruin exciting shit, so I apologize. No, I don't apologize. It's me. So, good night, everyone, and see you next week. And thank you for coming on.